Hey, hello there, it's me, RJB, and today we've got a replay with, well, instead of replays, with not 2, not 3, but 4 players. That means we're looking at a 2 versus 2, and this 2 versus 2 in particular, we have the player Mong here on the bottom right of the map, playing the Zerg. We've got Minchul, his teammate, here on the top right of the map, also playing the Zerg. Which means that we have a Zerg versus Zerg mirror matchup. LuckYBack here on the brown, although he's called Lucky here, so just call him Lucky. And here we have 604, which is a name used by the player Rush, the pro player Rush. So we have a fastest map replay here with 2 pro players against 2 of the top team players for fastest map. The reason I got inspired to do a team play replay was because I got caught up in this, well, writing a comment or a response to someone on my comment section who wanted to know about the top fastest map players. Which of course leads me personally to the discussion of who are the best team players, because I kind of know who the best fastest players are for 1 versus 1, but because there are, simply put, way more players capable of functioning at the top 2 versus 2 level, there are, of course, there might be names among the top 2 versus 2 players that I simply don't know about. Because honestly, I haven't put that much time into learning about the 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3 scene amongst the top level. So I wanted to throw up another set of replays with some top level 2 versus 2 players, which in this case are a couple of players we've seen on the channel before. Namely Mong, Minchul, and Lucky. We haven't seen Rush yet, but I do think Rush has a significant amount of experience playing fastest, because I have seen his name pop up quite often in all of the replays that I got from streamers who play a lot of 2 versus 2, by the way. So anyway, without further ado, all players are starting off with a very fast Zergling build, although Rush is going for a way quicker Zergling than anyone else is. He's on 7 drones, he's behind in drones, but his Zergs are out on the map way quicker than anyone else. His ally here has an Overlord hanging on his base, so he's delaying his Zerglings by quite a bit, by a significant amount actually. He's even going for an extra hatchery, and I think his pool was slower than Rush's by at least 20 seconds, which is a significant amount, which also explains why Rush currently has so many Zerglings out on the map. Also has that 3rd hatchery there coming in. It's a little bit late. Also now on 6 drones because he made that hatchery, whereas all other players are on either 8 or 10. Minchul went for 10 drones instead, with a little bit of a quicker hatchery there as well. Same timing actually as Lucky, but Lucky went for 1 drone less. So all these Zergs here are intending to keep Minchul in his base, which he's currently succeeding at. We have Lucky here mirroring Mong, but he gets caught off guard there because Mong A-move and Lucky didn't A-move in, but he's getting supported now by Rush, who's coming in to help him fight Mong, but Mong has no Sunkens there in the back because they have that Overlord hanging there, but Mong, because he made no Sunkens, has more Zerglings because he hasn't spent as much minerals on drones. So he's actually matching his opponent's Zergling count. He's getting some pretty good damage on those Zerglings, and the Zergling fight here is absolutely mad. I'm not quite sure who's going to win, but it looks like Mong and Minchul will be winning this exchange here. Although no, it looks like they've managed to kill almost all of the Zerglings that were here in Mong's base, because Mong simply didn't have enough, and Minchul arrives a little bit late. But Minchul arriving there on the scene means that they now have to return to the middle and retreat and save up their Zerglings. Because that Sunken in the back, of course, is contributing to Mong surviving this fight. But Mong, as a result, does have the lowest supply, 3 less than Lucky. Minchul is currently on the most supply, on 22 supply, but he's going to keep on making Zerglings. He's even adding on another hatchery there, hatchery number 4. A lot of Zerglings here on the middle for Rush, who's now on 5 drones, as compared to the 11 from Minchul and the 7 of Mong. So they are ahead in worker count, but they might not be capable of winning the fight here because they chose to invest into more workers. But as long as Minchul managed to keep upscaling and outscaling his opponents, he will definitely become too big for the others to handle. Another big exchange happening here inside of Mong's base. Minchul is a little bit late here on the join. Well, we could see it with this Overlord there, but the fight here gets the pool. But now Zerglings are going to get surrounded by Zerglings, but the Zergling count is simply greater for Rush and Lucky, so they're going to win this exchange here, I'm sure, although the micro here from both players is pretty amazing. This is kind of difficult to cast, really, because it's just Zerglings running into Zerglings. and it's hard to keep track of all the Zerglings. It's hard to know who's going to win a fight because you cannot actually count all the Zerglings that quick. You just have to kind of eyeball it and guess who's going to win based on the size of the ball of Zerglings, but sometimes that doesn't really tell the results. Most of the times it does. Right now it looks like Mong is a little bit late, so Minchul is going to lose a bunch of his Zerglings while he's running away, but he's going to get a surround in the flank on those Zerglings there from Rush and Lucky, but I don't think it's going to be enough because the spread and the surround is better for Rush and Lucky, so they're going to win this fight and look to be winning, but more Zerglings are coming in from Minchul's base, but it doesn't look to be enough. Although it does it, I'm not quite sure. It was a bad choice picking a Zerg versus Zerg mirror 2 versus 2 matchup to cast. It does look like Rush and Lucky come out on top. They've added on 1 or 2 more drones as well to their drone count, but they haven't added on another hatchery. Quick look, yes, they added on another hatchery. Back to the fight, they're in the middle. Zerglings once again, Overlords are providing a lot of vision for both players, but Mong is trying to escape the grasp of these Zerglings from Lucky, and he might be successful in doing so, although he gets blocked there, although those 2 Zerglings are going down, but now he gets caught out himself by attacking those 2 Zerglings. Now he's going to be locked in here for a little while. He's adding on 1 more hatchery there as well. Some 14 drones, way ahead of Rush and Lucky. Once more a fight happening in the middle. Minchul gets zoned away back to his base. He now has less drones than he had prior because he added on an Evo Chamber, a Sunken, and another hatchery there as well. Whereas Lucky is currently only on 4 hatcheries. Pretty much the same number as everyone else. But he doesn't have that Evo Chamber. Not quite sure how this is going to turn out, honestly. This is really hectic, weird kind of game. We do have 2 more replays after this one, also all mirror matchups. I just wanted to do something that seemed a little bit fun. Pure mirror matchups in 2 versus 2, which you don't often see. You don't often see Zerg versus Zerg on fastest, or Terran versus Terran on fastest. Although this is turning out to be a lot harder to follow and keep track of than I thought it would be, but it looks at the moment that Mong and Minchul do have the lead in supply, but having lead in supply doesn't always mean you're going to win, because the middle is being controlled by Lucky and Rush, who are now trying to slowly scale up into the next phase, but Rush here is behind on hatchery count. He does have a lair there on the way. They're just zoning each other away because all the players are too scared to pull the trigger, so they're electing to just scale up and get bigger, which at the moment is working out in favor of Mong and Minchul, although now Lucky is on the highest drone count. Minchul is pretty close on behind him. He's got 5 hatcheries there in total. Hatchery number 5 is being added on here for Lucky. Hatchery number 5 is also on the way here for... Actually, number 6 is already on the way there for Mong, but now the fight breaking out in the middle. Minchul getting us around on these Zerglings here from Lucky because Rush decided to pull back and not commit to the fight because the Zergling count from Minchul was simply too great for him to handle, which now means that they're going to get a pretty good hit here on, I think, Lucky. Although they might be going for Rush here instead because Lucky has pulled back to his base and they know that Lucky has a couple of Sunkens and they know that Rush has less Sunkens and less blockade going on here, so it's going to be easier to kill Rush, but I think he might somehow manage to survive if he keeps blocking access to those Sunkens in the back. But the surround here is going to be absolutely ridiculous. This is so many Zerglings getting a surround off here on Rush's base, and Rush might be losing all of his Zerglings here, which means he might be losing all of his Sunkens there as well, but Lucky is coming in from the back, trying to help and trying to save his ally, but look at these Sunkens going down so quick. Yeah, they're going to go down. There's simply way too many Zerglings for them to deal with. And this is going to be one of those games where we only see one kind of unit, a lot of great movement happening all across the map. Although it was really weird, hard to keep track of, because I don't have any experience playing or watching a game like this. So I wasn't quite sure what was going on, except they were trying to outpace their opponents with just Zerglings and out-rotate them, and in this case, out-macro them, because Minchul and Mong went for a higher economy build, so they simply had more to produce after the 5-minute mark. Because Rush went for Zerglings a little bit too quick in my opinion compared to all of his opponents, but that might be due to his lack of experience, it appears, with this specific matchup, which Lucky, Mong, and Minchul all do have significant amounts of for fastest. That's game number 1. I think game number 2 is going to be a little bit more exciting than this one. This one was fun, but it was kind of, how do I say it, one-dimensional. Replay number 2. Terran, a lot of Terrans. So miners, they're all on corners of the map, and they're actually spread out in top versus bottom. This is very easy to keep track of. Mong in the top right, Rush in the bottom right. We've got Lucky here on the bottom left, and Minchul on the top left. Very easy to keep track of. And it should also be very interesting because all players are rather far away from each other, which might mean that we're going to be seeing a little bit of a longer game, but with a lot of action. But because the players are so far removed from each other, whenever you're attacking, you have a numbers disadvantage because you're simply too far away to have that advantage, because by the time you arrive in the opponent's base, they already have new units prepared. There's a couple of small differences here. Everyone except Mong decides to build their barrack out in the middle, so they can wall off their entrance, I'm sure. Whereas Mong is the only one going for a depot at his base, followed up by a refinery in his base. Of course, a refinery is always in their base. So barrack, he's going for double barracks. Minchul's going for double barracks here on the middle. He's going to do a barrack supply build, I'm sure. There it is, there's the barrack supply. It's going to get supply stuck for a little while as a result, but not too long. But it's the stark difference from what his opponents are doing. He's going to build a depot here as well to keep his opponents out, so those vultures can never get into his base. But his factory is going to be delayed by quite a bit compared to his opponents, because Mong already has his barrack there. Well, his barrack is going to be a little bit late, so he might actually have his factory out later than his opponents do. Although his gas is vastly ahead of them, so he'll be able to build a factory right away, whereas opponents are only just now starting with their gas income, which is of course going to delay their factory as well. And I think they might be adding on another building here in the front to keep opponents out of their bases, but I'm not too sure whether they will or will not. So he's keeping this here to keep enemies out of his base, so his enemies don't know what he's up to. Looks like he hasn't built a gas yet either, so he's going to commit to more marines, and he's going to build bunkers here in the front of their opponents and wall off his opponents. Well, actually, Mong is his ally, so he's going to wall off the entrance to his ally so that those vultures can't do anything at all on the middle of the map. But of course, the SCV there gets killed, which means he's going to send in SCV number 2, and he's going to have to protect that one to keep it alive to help or finish that bunker. But there's a lot of marines here now coming in from Rush, although he gets out-microed there, although the SCV there is going to try to finish the bunker, but he's focusing on the SCV, and the SCV is going to go down as well, which means he's going to have to cancel the bunker, or you're going to just keep it up there as a structure, but he's being pushed back by those marines coming in from Lucky and Rush, which of course is a result of Mong going for the very late barrack, but Mong does have 4 factories on the way there at the same time, which is absolutely madness. That's absolute madness there. He's compensating for the lack of factories coming in from Minchul. So that was the plan. Minchul builds a wall there and keeps Mong safe. And Mong then just comes out blasting with a lot of vultures. Fight still happening. Let's quit. Well, I think Minchul is going to lose this fight here, although he still has more marines that are arriving on the scene because he has 2 barrack production, whereas Rush and Lucky have single barrack production for either players. Although there the bunker finishes up, which is going to contain Mong to a degree, because every single time vultures leave the base they get damaged, which means that the vultures coming out for Rush and Lucky are going to have an advantage in terms of fighting ability, because they simply will have more HP. The Lucky also is building 4 factories there, whereas Rush is going for 3 factories there, kind of spread out unevenly across his base. Also a lot of people that are coming in the back. And no, the fight hasn't happened. Well, he's running into that bunker time and time again, and they at the moment have nothing that can kill that bunker. So he's already got vulture mines and speed on the way, still building more vultures, not yet going for tanks, didn't add on another refinery either, but he's adding on 2 depots there at the same time, whereas Minchul is only just now starting his factory production. He's trying to, he's blocking access to the bunker, but if he just does this, he might still be able to select it. So now you have to click on this. If you do this, you get the bunker behind it. I think that's the way it works. So he's trying to kill this here in the front and gain access into Minchul's base, because Minchul doesn't have a real wall here. He can still pass through, but he's just going to attack the barracks instead of trying to penetrate through deeper into the base. Well, I'm not sure if he can actually pass through here. This might actually be a blockade, a wall he can't fit through. I think it's a wall. He's going to try. No, he can just walk through. Alright, so he was attacking these barracks for no reason at all. So he breaks through, and he's going to go straight ahead and enter Minchul's base. Fight also happening here, vultures against vultures, but I think this is going to be a more important fight. There's a bunker there in the back, which is keeping those vultures away, which means there's no fight there at all, which means that this is the fight that we're going to be looking at instead. And Mong having so many factories and Lucky not having his vultures on the middle of the map means that Mong wins the exchange with Rush, but now Lucky comes in with his mass vulture, and he scares Mong away back into his base and facilitates the contain new bunker there as well. Or is the same bunker? It's the same bunker. Actually, it was Lucky's barrack that was blocking access to the bunker. Very smart there from him. And now he's placed it here on the side. He's going to land this bunker here in the front as well to keep Mong contained. While it looks like Minchul is managing to secure his own front here quite well with that bunker and that 2 barrack wall, which is kind of similar to this here. But it looks like Mong already has tanks on the way. Nope, no tanks. He's just still going for mass vultures. He's just making a lot of factories here to try and outmass the vulture mass from Lucky and Rush. Whereas Rush is now on his 5th factory. He's not taking care of his building placement at all, which might come back to haunt him in the later stage of the game. Whereas Lucky and all the other players are very carefully placing all their buildings exactly where they need them to be. So their sim cities are way better. Also a very early +1 command center coming in from Lucky. Also already mining from 3 gazers, whereas Minchul also mining from 3 gazers, but he does not have that that extra command center. But he does have 3 starports with cloak on the way and raids being produced there as well. And his opponents don't know at all that this is what he's up to. It's a very great strategy to go for actually, because his opponents don't have... Well, he has an armory here, and he might be going for Goliaths here as well. He can switch over into Goliaths anytime he wants, but at the moment he has not yet done that. Also, a lot of vultures here just looking at each other. A lot of mines are on the middle of the map here, completely containing Minchul. But well, since he doesn't have vultures, this is actually a pretty good measure to counter him. But he might just build dropships very soon, although he doesn't need dropships if he has mostly only raids. Oh, there's a tank here firing on the bunker. That's why we're seeing SCVs dying and he's taking damage. One more tank arrives here on the scene. Mong is, I think, going to transition into tanks. He's got tanks on the way. More vultures there on the way as well. He might try to break out very soon as well, but I don't think it's going to work, although he managed to deal some damage here while he was attacking, but I missed it because I was focusing on this fight here. Looks like Lucky is going to win this exchange here, although he doesn't have an SCV here to repair the tank, but the tank cannot move closer because it will go down in only 2 tank shots. While the tank there arriving in the front, he's going to try to break this open. Once it's been broken open, all these vultures here on the middle of the map are going to break through. Although Rush here also going to build tanks here on the side to keep Mong contained and get the upper hand over Mong. But raids already on the way here from Minchul into LuckYBack's base. Lucky doesn't have Goliath on the way, he doesn't know it exists, although now he saw it coming in. But he's going to lose a couple of his SCVs here because that's, I think, 7 raids killing SCVs, and there's nothing there to protect him. He's going to build a lot of turrets now though, but these raids might just do the trick, although Goliaths are also being queued up already. Containment here happening at the same time. More raids are arriving on the scene. Dropship has finished here for Lucky, but he's just killing SCVs here, but that might not be the right option. Maybe he should be killing those turrets, but he just wants to deal as much damage as he can before those Goliaths arrive. But now he can no longer use his cloak to get an advantage here. If he had only denied those turrets, he had more room to play. But he's being attacked at the same time by all these units from Lucky, who's counterattacking him with these tanks and vultures. And there's nothing he can do against this because he doesn't have anything that can kill these tanks quick enough. A tank does spawn here though, but he's losing all of his SCVs at the same time. So it was kind of a base trade, but the base trade comes out in favor of Lucky because Minchul's strategy was simply way more risky. And Lucky knows that if Minchul went for that many raids, he doesn't have any ground forces, so he just goes for the counter kill here, and he actually does wind up killing his opponent. Minchul here, very great choice by him, although these raids here are now going to try to break Mong out of his containment vessel, which looks to be working somewhat because he's killing those tanks here, but there's still a lot of mines here as well, which he has to break through first. And if those tanks do roll into those mines, he's going to lose that exchange. So the tanks are now going to siege up. No, they're not going to siege up, they're just going to kill the tank there on the side, whereas those Goliaths here are going to be capable of fighting against those raids that are still alive, but there's only 6 raids. He doesn't have cloak and everything, so he's going to try to get this bunker down as fast as he can, but he loses a raid in the process with more raids arriving on the scene here. He managed to break out of his death sentence here with only 2 SCVs that are left alive, but the fight happening on the middle is going in favor of Mong and Minchul because they simply have more units. They managed to kill all the mines there as well, though he's losing a couple of his tanks to the mines, but it looks like LuckYBack is going to be forced to pull back to his base because he simply lost all of his units to the fight earlier, and he also lost some of his income, but he has that +1 extra command center. A lot of mines coming on the middle of the map as well. Now they're going to go for Rush. Rush has a very small base, doesn't have much in his base left at all, so his counterattack might just do the trick, although he does have some raids there fighting back against those tanks, but the raids from Minchul might be coming in to kill those raids there. But do they have the scan energy? I don't know. The strategy from Mong and Minchul looks to be more optimized and special more optimized, but harder to pull off than the strategy from Rush and Lucky, but it looks to be working out in their favor. All of the vultures here in the base are simply getting this round on everything and attacking everything that they can, and the SCVs that are in the back are completely unprotected. There's nothing that can save them. All tanks are now spawning. Tanks are great against vultures, but the vulture mass is simply too big. LuckYBack is trying to come in from behind with his tanks and his Goliaths, but he might not be able to do the trick. Base there also hunting on the SCVs there on the side. Tanks are going down to the raids eventually though, but I think all of the SCVs there are being pulled to safety because he does not want to lose them. He gets them protected by those units coming in from Lucky. Lucky's now going to try to clear all these vultures, which is probably going to work because vultures are not that strong against Goliaths and tanks. They're great against bio, but not against tanks and Goliaths. But he has done enough damage here, I think, to Rush, who's now out of minerals. Only 20 minerals left and 20 SCVs, but one more SCV there goes down as it spawns. But his base is secured and safe, whereas it turns out Minchul was forced to lift up while all this happening because he was getting attacked by, I think, Lucky, who managed to kill this last remaining SCVs. He's now trying to run the safety to Mong's base to start rebuilding, but it looks like Rush is attacking Mong, who has no turrets, no anti-air, no Goliaths whatsoever. Always Goliaths here in the front, but Goliaths have to return back to base first. But he's losing his... He has no detection. He just have a scan there on the top side. It has energy, so he can try to fight back against the raids, but the raids are killing a lot of his SCVs. So now the raids are being attacked by the Goliaths, so they're going to run away because they have been scanned. But once the scanner runs out, he's just going to fly back in and keep doing damage to the SCVs and the Goliaths, I'm sure. Although he's going to kill those SCVs that are on the side first. Fight here happening on the middle as well. No, he's running into mines. The mines are exploding. The mines get taken down by the Goliaths before they explode. And so much is happening here. It's hard to describe it really. Tanks, once again, going up against tanks and Goliaths, but the vultures there are weaker than the tanks, but the tanks from Mong are actually shooting... Well, no, I'm not sure. This fight is going to go in favor of Mong, it appears, because his tanks managed to kill more tanks of Lucky than Lucky managed to kill Mong tanks, though they now do both have 3 tanks that are sieged up. One more tank there in the back for Mong. He does have more Goliaths, but no, he's less... I'm not sure. This looks to be a big standoff here between Mong and Lucky. Mong is somewhat contained to his base. He does not have dropships, but he has dropships on the way to try and secure the win. If he manages to unload some units here inside of Rush's base, he can win the game. Then he still has to fight against Lucky, who is at the moment a little bit smaller than Mong, but he's got 64 workers instead of 44, so his economy is bigger, which means he can rebound quicker than Mong can rebound from losing units. But it looks like Mong is going to push forward here and probably not going to win this exchange because there's tanks from Russia on the side as well, which are killing his Goliaths as well. Runs into a mine there. Mines get taken down, although he's so close. Yeah, it looks like they realize that they cannot win this one. Because there's dropships on the way here from the side, which he saw coming because he had units or buildings floating there on the side, and he knows that he doesn't have anything at the moment that can fight against those dropships. So that's why he tabs out, because he knows he's going to lose his workers to this dropship and to these tanks and Goliaths there. So great move there from Lucky, beating Mong to the punch of using dropships to finish off an opponent. And that means the score is 1-1 in this mirror series here between these players. Somewhat of an oddball of a game, but kind of interesting to see a mirror matchup like this because we don't really see it pretty much ever. Pretty much ever, we never see this replay or this kind of a game. So kind of interesting to see. Mong had a really good... Well, things were going well for Mong and Minchul up until Minchul just rolled over and died because he went for the mass raids without any ground protection. Got abused by that. For that, really. There's one more replay here in the mix, which is going to be a Protoss versus Protoss, a little bit more of a traditional matchup, but of course, which has to be played in a mirror 2v2 series. So this is going to be the decider match between the battle between Minchul, Mong, and Rush and Lucky. The spawns seem to be somewhat in favor of Minchul and Mong here, because Lucky is, well, Lucky is technically closer. It's hard to call, really. I think all players are pretty much equally far away from each other. Mong does have the worst spot to defend against drops, because there's a very small distance here to travel from Rush's base into Mong's base, but the same goes for Mong's travel distance with drops towards Rush's base. So we've got Rush here on the bottom left, Lucky here on the middle right, Mong on the middle left, and Minchul on the top left. Gotta hide this. So, right, so we got this all rolling. Minchul is going for a very late pylon there, which leads me to believe he's going for a +1 Nexus, or he might go for 2 gateways there at the same time. No, it's going to be a +1 Nexus. Same here for Lucky. Going to be a +1 Nexus economy build, whereas Mong and Rush are on Zealot duty. They're going to be building Zealots to gain control over the map and to prevent their allies from dying to a Zealot attack. Whereas both Minchul and Lucky are going to have delayed units out on the map, but they're going to have quicker tech, a bigger economy, a bigger mass, and probably Reaver drops on the way. Both of them are going for Forges, whereas 3 gateways coming out for Rush and Mong. One thing I don't like about Rush's build optimization is the distance between his cannon pylons and his Nexus. There is space for 2 cannons here, but it's pretty far away, and I do think this compact build order from Mong has the advantage in terms of how easy it is to defend, because there's less open space for his opponents to walk through. Forge coming down here as well, whereas Mong also has a Forge coming out here. Neither players have found each other yet. Minchul is going for 2 gateways there instead of a gas, whereas we have Lucky going for 1 gateway, 2 gazers, 2 assimilators. Cannon there coming in as well, cannon coming in here as well for Minchul. We've got no cannons on the way yet for Rush and Mong, though. Cannon coming here for Mong. Looks like Rush is going for... not too sure what Rush has spent his minerals on. Causes him... Alright, there's the cannon. But he somehow has spent less minerals than his opponent. Well, they've spent the same amount of minerals now, but it was lagging behind a little bit. Somehow, not sure how. He's 1 probe behind on his opponent, although the probe there is might going to die to the cannon as well, but it's staying pretty far away. Gateway number 4 comes out for Mong. We have also 4 gateways out for Lucky. I mean for Minchul, who's now starting his gas income pretty late, so he's not going for a very heavy tech build. Whereas for Lucky, we have a Citadel of Adun already on the way, so he's going for Dark Templars, I'm sure, but it's going to take a while, and they might lose control over the map, because Minchul has more Zealots out on the map quicker than Lucky does. But Lucky's Dark Templars might be catching him off guard unless Minchul is going for a very quick robo facility to get observers. Looks like Mong and Rush are somewhat equally matched, although there's 2 more gateways out for Mong. But as a result, his Cybercore is also, I think, about 15 seconds slower than Rush's, but the fight on the middle, or for the middle, will definitely be won by Mong and Minchul. Minchul does have a robo facility on the way because he saw that there were almost no gateways here for Lucky, which of course means he's going for Dark Templars over drops. So he's going for his own robo facility here to start building, I think, drops and an observatory both at the same time. Whether he can afford it or not, I'm not too sure. He does have more Zealots on the way there. He's going for Zealot speed probably because he's got so many Zealots. We might be seeing the same here for Mong. Zealot speed probably. Though he might also be going for Dragoons, though I'm not too sure. He's got a Citadel of Doom there on the way. And he's got a lot of gateways there as well, so probably Zealot lag. So fight here erupting between Rush and Mong. Mong has more Zealots, I think, so he should be winning this exchange. Rush is forced to retreat and run away. Same here happening for Minchul against Lucky, but Lucky has more cannons in the back, so all he has to do is fight around these cannons, and he won't lose as many of his Zealots as Minchul would lose if he were to commit. So Minchul decides not to commit to it, as he sees all the tech here, and it's confirmed in his opinions that Dark Templars might be on the way, although he also sees the robo facility there in the back. Storm is on the way as well for Lucky, so Storm Drop's going to be coming out for Lucky very soon as well. We now see an observatory coming out here from Minchul because he knows he needs an observatory to fight against those Dark Templars, which are right now about spawning for Lucky, which should be taking control over the map. But we have a cannon here in the front. Cannon here not yet in the front, but an observer is on the way, so he doesn't need a cannon there in the front. We've got Dragoons here being spread out as anti-drop from Minchul, also adding on 4 more gateways to fight against those Zealots or to have more Zealot mass, whereas Mong at the moment has his Zealot speed on the way. Dark Templars cannot go here because the cannon is alive there behind those Zealots. Zealots are protecting the cannon. There was a scenario where Rush can try to sneak in and kill the cannon and open up a path for those Dark Templars, but no, it's not happening. Although it is happening right here, but the observer is spawned, which means those Dark Templars are gonna get surrounded by the Zealots from Minchul. So now it means that Lucky has to get out of there very, very rapidly and return back to the middle. Also, these pylons here on the side are, of course, for more vision to detect drops flying in. Likewise, these pylons do the same. Mong now adding on another 4 gateways for a total of 11. Not 9. 9 gateways. We've got 8 gateways here for Minchul, 2 more for 12. Observers here moving to the sides to get vision past the hills to help him fight against drops. Likewise, these pylons are there as well to get more vision against drops, but I think Lucky's going to try to clear out those pylons here on the side to enable his drop to fly into his opponent's base, though he's only just now has a shuttle on the way. He has no Templars yet. No Templars. Oh, it's right here. Templar and the drop coming in, so he's ahead of what I was thinking he was at. He's trying to distract her in the front with his units, picking a fight with their opponents while flying in with his Storm Drop. Is the Storm Drop gonna hit? Mong is pulling away, and he gets a pretty great Storm off there, and he actually gets 13 probe kills, which is really, really painful for Mong there, because he gets about 4 probes per minute, which means it's going to take, I think, at least 3 or slightly below 3 minutes before he has all those probes back, which is quite bad, because they're pretty far behind in that sense, because of course Rush on 33 probes, so a fight is happening here. They're getting us around on Lucky, who has fewer units because he went for the Storm Drop, so it might actually backfire, but the fight looks to be going in favor of Rush, no, in favor of Minchul and Mong, although whoever is this color, that's Mong+Minchul. Mong+Minchul losing a lot of his Zealots here on the middle, well, in Lucky's base, as Lucky simply had to put his Zealots there to keep units away from his cannons, and the cannons would mow down all those units from Mong, which Mong now will have trouble replacing. But they're going in for a Rush now, who has actually, he's about 40 supply behind on Minchul, so Minchul has propelled ahead of everyone else with his unit size, with his army size. And he's doing a really good job of winning the fight almost all by himself, but he might be chewing off more than he can handle, because there's still a lot of units coming in from Lucky's base, who now has a lot of gateways here as well. We've got a drop coming in here from Lucky onto Minchul, but there's Dragoons there ready to intercept, and you can see, so he's going to intercept that. The fight here in the middle has been lost for Minchul. I'm not sure. Well, it's kind of going in Minchul and Mong's favor here on the middle. They're winning the exchange here still. More units are coming in, and because Minchul managed to secure his income, he'll be capable of producing more and more units. Lucky is trying to catch up as fast as he can with all of his gateways he has, but he's at the moment only making Zealots while also making Storm Drops. So it looks like Minchul and Mong are going for the option of not making Storm Drops and just trying to outmass their opponents, but it might backfire a little bit, because Mong of course lost his workers, whereas neither Lucky nor Rush have lost workers whatsoever. Although this fight here, this exchange here, is definitely going in favor of Mong and Minchul, but LuckYBack is going to come in from behind with his speed. More units are reinforcing already to come in and flank the units that are flanking, to flank them from behind. So he's forced to turn around and force away those units first before committing to the fight here inside of Rush's base. Those Dragoons are dealing a lot of damage, but Dragoons have, Dark Templars have spawned here as well, and I don't see any detection here for Minchul on the location, because the observer is still there on the middle. He forgot to send it. Well, there's also an observer here, but he forgot to send it in, and the Zealots coming in from behind are killing all of Minchul's units. So that fight eventually goes in favor of Rush and Lucky. But more units, of course, are on the way, and Mong has somewhat recovered, but he's still about 8 probes behind on Rush. So all Rush's... Oh, drop came in. Did he storm? He stormed, and I think he got about 20 kills there on the workers. He also snipes the shuttle, so a drop won't be coming out anytime soon, because now he has to make another shuttle while also trying to recover from losing, I think, about 25 or 30 workers to the storm drop that came in from Minchul. So Minchul is really hard carrying this game for Mong and Minchul's team, but whether it will be enough, I'm not too sure, because a frontal attack is happening here on Mong, but units coming into flank for Minchul. Also drop flying in here, both directions. Mong pulls his workers away, and the storm, the Templar is too far away to hit any probes, but it looks like Minchul might be hitting... He kills about 5 workers there, so not a huge hit, but big enough. No, he killed about 8, it appears. Because now Mong and Rush are both on equal worker counts. Nonetheless, the fight here on the middle going in favor of Minchul and Mong. Minchul really is the MVP here. Although they're trying to go in from behind. They're gonna kill that Templars archive there from Mong. Drop there coming in, flying over the middle of the map, but it flies into Dragoons, but it manages to change direction just in time, but it has low HP, so he's going to be forced to pull back to his base and make a new shuttle and replace those units into that new shuttle. But the fight here on the middle, both Mong and Minchul are pushing for Lucky, who currently lost a lot of his units to that fight there on the middle, but Rush is going to come in from behind and try to save his ally from a certain death. More Zealots, of course, coming in as well. Shuttle there still flying towards Minchul's base, but Minchul has 4 Dragoons that are ready to intercept. And yeah, the fight here definitely going in favor of Minchul and Mong. For Rush is coming in from behind. Looks like the shuttle drop flying for Minchul's workers went down. And Lucky got dropped again. What? I missed that one. I'm not sure when it happened, but it happened. It's hard to keep track of so many things happening at the same time here. It's very hectic, very high paced. So yeah, they've broken into Lucky's base. Lucky has very few workers, which means he won't have any units that he can produce. So he'll just be dying to his opponents here very slowly, whereas Rush is also losing units to Minchul units on the middle of the map rather quick. He does have the same amount of workers as Mong, but these Dragoons from Minchul with level 1 armor, level 2 attack are simply too strong for Lucky and Rush to fight against. Drop comes in here from Lucky, last-ditch effort to kill probes of Mong, although I don't think it will make a difference to the end result. He does get a pretty good storm off there. Kills about 11 probes there in total, but I think it's too late. It's too late, it appears, because there's simply too many units here inside his base. He does have some cannons there. There's some reinforcements coming in from behind, but I don't think it will be enough, because look at the upgrade difference. Mong also microing forward, also level 1 armor, level 2 attack there. So they really have been doing a great job with their upgrades on only a single forge. Yeah, Minchul is simply too big. He's been on 200 supply for the last 3 minutes. He's been doing an amazing job here, and Lucky here goes down to the Mass Dragoon attack from Mong and Minchul. Minchul with the extreme hard carry here almost single-handedly wins this game. Mong, of course, did play an important role of tanking damage and taking focus, and of course assisting Minchul with taking home the win. But the gateway count from Minchul is simply too high. He's got 12 here, not a 16 there, for a total of 28. Also only 3 cannons around his main, so he was always on the offensive, and he pretty much only had to rely on his units. So in the end, delaying the drops for Minchul really turned out to work out in his favor, because he simply had more units on the map to fight, and going all in on the early drops for Lucky kind of backfired, because he didn't get the results that he needed. Rush played a pretty good game as well, but you can kind of notice that he lacks the experience on fastest map team play. He kind of lacks the experience, but I think he learned some valuable lessons here. So yeah, somewhat of a weird set. Mirror matchups, kind of hard to cast. I always have problems casting these kind of games because I kind of want to show everything that's going on, but I kind of should focus on the fights and less so on what they're building. So yeah, fun set. I hope you enjoyed watching this set. A bit different from the usual stuff, and probably a unique set in the sense that we saw Zerg versus Zerg, mirror match between 2 and Terran versus Terran as well. So thanks for watching. I hope you come back soon for more videos and more enjoyment and more entertainment and more of that Starcraft Brute War fastest map goodness.